Hey guys, it's Brent. I'd like to welcome you to an all-new episode of The Science of Getting Rich. Yes, in fact, it is episode number 3. Number 3 already. So we're going to jump into it today. We're having a good one out there. This is called Increasing Life. It's the next chapter. You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a will, a deity, someone out there whose will it is saying you should be poor, or whose purposes may be served by keeping you poor. The intelligent substance, which is all and in all, and in which lives in all and lives in you, is a consciously living substance. Being a consciously living substance, it must have the nature and inherent desire of every living intelligence for increase of life. Every living thing must continually seek for the enlargement of itself, because life, in the mere act of living it, must increase itself. A seed dropped into the ground springs into activity, and in the act of living produces 100 more seeds. Life, by living, multiplies itself. It is forever becoming more. It must do so if it continues to be at all. Intelligence is under this same necessity for continuous increase. Every thought we think makes it necessary for us to think another thought. Consciousness is constantly, continually expanding. Every fact we learn leads us to the learning of another fact. Knowledge is constantly increasing. Every talent we cultivate brings to the mind the desire to cultivate another. We are subject to the urge of life, seeking expression, whichever drives us on to know more, to do more, and to be more. In order to know more, do more, and be more, we must have more. We must have things to use, for we learn and do and become only by using things. That's why we want to get rich, so that we can live more. The desire for riches is simply the capacity for larger life seeking fulfillment. Every desire is the effort of an unexpressed possibility to come into action. It is power seeking to manifest which causes desire. That which makes you want more money is the same as that which makes the plant grow. It's life seeking fuller expression. The one living substance must be subject to this inherent law of all life. It is permeated with the desire to live more. That is why it's under the necessity of creating things. The one substance desires to live more in you. Hence, it wants you to have all the things you can use. The universe desires you to have everything you want. Nature is friendly to your plans. Everything is naturally for you. Make up your mind right now that this is true. It is essential, however, that your purpose should harmonize with the purpose that is in all. You must want real life, not mere pleasure of gratification. Life is the performance of function, and the individual really lives only when he performs every function, physical, mental, and spiritual, of which he is capable without excess in any. That's powerful, my friends. So if you haven't joined us, if you jumped in for the first time, this is part 3. I am reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, a fantastic book, really the seed that grew into Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Believing, The Secret. It's written, though, 110 years ago. And the secrets buried in this text, they're transformative. But because it was written so long ago, the language can be kind of clunky. He's talking about, besides the language, he's talking about railroads and it's not modernized. So as I'm reading this, I'm editing as I go to give you all the pertinent information, and I'm reading his lines. But if there's anything in there that I think should be changed or to make it something you'd have an easier time understanding, I'm doing that. So we're reading this as we go along. We're doing this here live. Okay. So let's see. You do not want to get rich in order to live swinishly. I guess that's like a pig. For the gratification of animal desires. That is not life. But the performance of every physical function is a part of life. And no one lives completely who denies the impulses of the body a normal and healthy expression. You do not want to get rich solely to enjoy mental pleasures, to get knowledge, to gratify ambition, to outshine others, to be famous. All these are legitimate parts of life, but the man who lives for the pleasures of the intellect alone will only have a partial life, and he will never be satisfied with his lot. You do not want to get rich solely for the good of others, to lose yourself for the salvation of mankind, to experience the joys of philanthropy and sacrifice. The joys of the soul are only a part of life, and they're no better or nobler than anything else. So you want to get rich in order that you may eat, drink, and be merry when it's time to do these things, in order that you may surround yourself with beautiful things, see distant places, feed your mind, develop your intellect, in order that you may love mankind and do things and be able to play a good part in helping the world find truth. But remember, extreme altruism is no better and no nobler than extreme selfishness, because both are mistakes. Get rid of this idea that God or the universe wants you to sacrifice yourself for others and that you can secure his favor by doing that. God, the universe, source, does not require anything of the kind. What you are wanted to do is make the most of yourself for yourself and for other people. And you can help others more by making the most of yourself than you can by doing anything else. You can make the most of yourself only by gaining wealth. It's right and praiseworthy that you should give your first and best thought to the work of acquiring wealth. Remember, however, that the desire of substance is for all, and its movements must be more life to all. It cannot be made to work for less life to any, because it is equally in all, seeking riches and life. So it's meaning, don't try to take it from someone else. Don't try to steal it. Don't try to con your way into it. Don't try to, you can have it so somebody else can't have it. It's for everyone. Intelligent substance will make things for you, but it will not take things away from someone else and give them to you. You must get rid of this idea of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. Oh, that is incredible. That is incredible, that line, because that is 100% truth. You must get rid of the idea of competition. You are here to create, not to compete for what has already been created. You don't have to take anything away from anybody else. You don't have to drive sharp bargains and be a con man. You don't have to cheat. You don't have to take advantage of anyone. You don't need to let any person work for you less than he deserves. You don't have to covet, be jealous of the property of other people, or look at it with wishful eyes. No man has anything which you can't have. When you see someone else do it, it should be inspiration. It shouldn't be, why does he have that and not me? You can have that, and you can have that without taking it away from him. We're here to become creators, not competitors. You're going to get what you want, but in such a way that when you get it, every other person will also get more than they have now. Now, I'm aware that there are men who get a vast amount of money by proceeding in direct opposition to the statements in the paragraph above, and may add a word of explanation here. I'm just reading a little bit. He talks about Rockefeller, Carnegie, all the big names back in the day, Vanderbilt, have been the unconscious agents of the Supreme in the necessary work of systematizing and organizing increased life for all. Their day is nearly over. That's an understatement. They have organized production, and we will soon be succeeded by the agents of the multitude who will organize the machinery of distribution. Like I said in yesterday's video, when Wattles talks about the future, he's spot on. And this was written 110 years ago. But yesterday, when he was talking about moving into air travel, and this is back in the days of railroad, when everything was done by railroad, and how in a few years it would be, millions of people will be working in that field. It's absolutely true. We'll go back. The multimillionaires are like the monster reptiles of the prehistoric era. They play a necessary part in the evolutionary process, but the same power which produced them will dispose of them. And it is well to bear in mind that they have never been really rich. A record of the private lives of most of this class will show that they have really been the most abject and wretched of people. Riches secured on the competitive plane are never satisfactory, and they're never permanent. They are yours today and someone else's tomorrow. If you are to become rich in a scientific and certain way, you must rise entirely out of the competitive mindset. You must never think for a moment that the supply is limited. Just as soon as you begin to think that all the money is being cornered and controlled, then you must, you've got to get out of that mindset. You've got to drop that competitive mind, and your power to cause creation is gone until you do that. And what's worse, your creative moments are going to dwindle as well. Know that there are countless millions and now billions of dollars worth of gold still in the mountains of the earth, not yet brought to light. And know that if there were not, more would be created from thinking substance to supply our needs. Know that the money you need will come, even if it is necessary for 1,000 men to be led to the discovery of new gold mines tomorrow. Never look at the visible supply. Look always at the limitless riches in formless substance, and know they are coming to you as fast as you can receive and use them. Nobody, by cornering the visible supply, can prevent you from getting what is yours. So never allow yourself to think for an instant that all the best building spots will be taken before you get ready to build your house, unless you hurry. Never worry about factories and trusts and jobs. Don't let fear control you. Never be afraid that you will lose what you want because some other person beats you to it. That can't possibly happen. You're not seeking anything that is possessed by anyone else. You are causing what you want to be created, and the supply is without limits. So stick to the formulated statement. We said it in the last video. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined by the thought. Man can form things in his thoughts, and by impressing his thoughts upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks to be created. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about TM, Transcendental Meditation. It's one of the meditation practices I do every day. And in TM, you are reciting your mantra. You're given one by your teacher. They're kept secret. You don't say it out loud. You say it in your head. Everybody has a different one, or many, many people have a different one. And what you're doing in transcendental meditation, what that allows you to do by focusing your willpower, your intention on a mantra. And a mantra needs to be nonsense. In other words, you can't be saying something that I like hot dogs, or my favorite color is blue, or anything that brings to mind a picture of what it is. It needs to be nonsense words. It needs to be more sounds than words. Because what you're doing in transcendental meditation is by repeating that mantra silently in your head, eyes closed, sitting in the lotus position. When you're doing that, what starts to happen is your outer mind starts to shut down. The subconscious becomes alive there in those moments. And what happens is you actually go down into yourself. You're not going into the outer world. You're not projecting in meditation. You're going inward. And transcendental meditation allows you to drill down. And where you're going is the unified field. That's what he's talking about here when he's talking about there's a thinking stuff from which all things are made. Quantum physicists, scientists, they've proven this now years ago. Again, this was written a long time ago, but he's dead on here. There is a unified field where everything that has ever been made, will be made, is coming from. Everything we've ever done has been a thought, started as a thought. Going to the moon, that started as an idea, somebody deciding it could be done. The unified field is where everything springs from. This is what he's talking about when he talks about the thinking stuff, okay? So let's go into the next part. This is called How Riches Come to You. Now, when I say you don't have to drive sharp bargains, I do not mean that you don't have to drive any bargains at all, or that you're above the necessity for having any dealings with your fellow men. I mean that you will not need to deal with them unfairly. You don't have to get something for nothing, but can give to every man more than you take from him. You cannot give every man more in cash market value than you take from him, but you can give him more in use value than the cash value of the thing you take. The paper, the ink, and other material in books, again, this is a book we're talking about here, may not be worth the money you paid for it. But if the ideas suggested by it brings you millions of dollars, you've not been wronged by those who sold you the book. They've given you a great use value for a very small cash value. You're listening to this for free. So this should really be incredible value because you're not paying anything for it. Let's suppose that I own a picture by one of the great artists in the world, which in any civilized community is worth millions of dollars. I take it to, I don't know, Iceland or somewhere, and I induce someone there to give me a bundle of furs worth, I don't know, let's say $1,000 for it. But you know what? It sounds like I screwed myself, right? But really, I wronged him because where he is in the middle of nowhere, he would have no use for the picture. So it has no value to him. It wouldn't add to his life. This is his example, but this isn't really a great example because obviously if you had a painting that was worth millions of dollars, no matter where you were, you would still have security from that, right? So I'm not really digging this thing here, his comparison. But I'm going to read you exactly what this says so you get it. It says, let us suppose I own a picture by one of the great artists, which in any civilized community is worth thousands of dollars. I take it to Alaska, and by salesmanship, I induce an Eskimo to give a bundle of furs worth $500 for it. I have really wronged him, for he has no use for the picture. It has no value to him. It will not add to his life. I think a better idea would be maybe a new iPhone that costs you $1,000 and you sell it to somebody on a deserted island for $100. It's still it's a good deal, right? In the outer world, but it's not going to do him any good. Deserted and stranded on an island with no power. Okay, so maybe that would be a better example. But here he goes further. But suppose I gave him a gun worth $50 for his furs. Then he's made a good bargain because he has use of the gun, which will get him more fur and much food, and it will add to his life in every way. That gun can make him rich. When you rise from the competitive to the creative plane, you can scan your business transactions very strictly. And if you're selling any man anything which does not add more to his life than the thing he gives you in exchange, you can afford to stop it. You don't have to beat anyone in business. And if you're in a business which does beat people, get out of it. Give every man more in use value than you take from him in cash value. Then you are adding to the life of the world by every business transaction. If you have people working for you, you must take from them more in cash value than you pay them in wages. But you can so organize your business that it will be filled with the principle of advancement. And so each employee who wishes to do so may advance a little every day. You can make your business do for your employees what this book is doing for you. You can conduct your business that will be a sort of ladder by which every employee who will take the trouble may climb to riches himself. And given the opportunity, if he will not do so, it is not your fault. And finally, because you are to cause the creation of your riches from formless substance which permeates the environment, it does not follow that they are to take shape from the atmosphere and come into being before your eyes. If you want a sewing machine, for instance, I don't mean to tell you that you are to impress the thought of a sewing machine on thinking substance until the machine is formed without hands in the room where you sit or elsewhere. But if you want a sewing machine, hold the mental image of it with the most positive certainty that it's being made or it's on its way to you. After once forming the thought, have the most absolute and unquestioning faith that the sewing machine is coming. Never think of it, speak of it in any other way than as being sure to arrive. And how many times have we heard this line? Claim it as if it was already yours. This is even before Neville Goddard's time as a speaker. And Neville Goddard, live in the end, claim it as if you already had it. It will be brought to you by the power of the supreme intelligence acting upon the minds of men. If you live in Maine, it may be that a man will be brought from Texas or Japan to engage in some transaction which will result in you getting what you want. If so, the whole matter will be as much to that man's advantage as it is to yours. Don't forget for a moment that the thinking substance through all, in all, communicating with all, and can influence all. The desire of thinking substance for fuller life and better living has caused the creation of all the sewing machines already made, and it can cause the creation of millions more, and will, whenever men set in motion by desire and faith and acting in a certain way. Who has a sewing machine anymore? I haven't even seen a sewing machine for years. My mom had one when I was a kid. Now, I'm thinking more laptop nowadays would be better, but as an example, you can certainly have a sewing machine in your house, and it's just as certain that you can have any other thing or things that you want, and which you will use for the advancement of your own life and the lives of others. You need not hesitate about asking. Original substance wants to live all that is possible in you and wants you to have all that you can or will use for the living of the most abundant life. If you fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire you feel for the possession of riches is one with the desire of omnipotence for more complete expression, your faith becomes invincible. Once I saw a little boy sitting at a piano and vainly trying to bring harmony out of the keys. And I saw that he was grieved and provoked by his inability to play real music. I asked him the cause of his vexation, and he answered, "I can feel the music in me, but I can't make my hands move right." The music in him was the urge, the desire of original substance, containing all the possibilities of all life. All that there is of music was seeking expression through the child. This universal one substance is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity. God, he's saying, I want hands to build wonderful structures, to play divine harmonies, to paint glorious pictures. I want feet to run my errands, eyes to see my beauties, tongues to tell mighty truths and sing marvelous songs. And that there is of possibility, all that there is of possibility is seeking expression through men. God wants those who can play music to have pianos and every other instrument, and to have the means to cultivate their talents to the fullest extent. He wants those who can appreciate beauty to be able to surround themselves with beautiful things. He wants those who can discern truth to have every opportunity to travel and observe. He wants those who can appreciate dress to be beautifully clothed, and those who can appreciate good food to be luxuriously fed. He wants all these things because it is himself that enjoys and appreciates them. It's as if God, who wants to play and sing and enjoy beauty and proclaim truth and eat good food. The desire you feel for riches is the infinite, seeking to express itself in you. So you don't need to hesitate. You don't need to hesitate when you're asking for something big. Your part is to focalize, and your part is to express. This is a really difficult point with most people. They retain something of the old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. They look upon poverty as a part of the plan, a necessity of nature. They have the idea that God has finished his work and made all that he can make, and that the majority of men must stay poor because there's not enough to go around. They hold to so much of this erroneous thought that they feel ashamed to ask for wealth. They try not to want more than a very modest life, just enough to make them fairly comfortable. I recall now the case of one student who was told that he must get in mind a clear picture of the things he desired so that the creative thought of them could be impressed on formless substance. He was a very poor man, living in a rented house and having only what he earned from day to day. He could not grasp the fact that all wealth was his. So after thinking the matter over, he decided that he might reasonably ask for a new rug for the floor of his living room, maybe a coal stove to heat the house during the winter. Following the instructions given in this book, he obtained these things in a few months. And then it dawned upon him that he hadn't asked for enough. He went through the house in which he lived and planned all the improvements he would like to make. He mentally added a bay window here and a room there until it was complete in his mind as his ideal home. Then he planned the furnishings. Holding the picture in his mind, he began living in a certain way. And in moving toward what he wanted, now he owns the house. He is rebuilding it after the form of his mental image. And now, with still larger faith, he's going on to greater things. It has been unto him according to his faith. And so it is with you, and it is with all of us. Tomorrow, we're going to be back with part 4. And part 4 is about gratitude. What we talked about in these couple of chapters, we've kind of conveyed the idea that the first step towards getting rich is to convey the idea of what you want to this formless substance, to the unified field, to get that in your mind, to live in the end like you already have it. Live as the person you want to be. Outer world will change. It's true. And you will see that in order to become whatever it is that you want to become. You have to relate to this formless substance in a harmonious way. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. It requires gratitude. And gratitude is important. We talk about it all the time. We're going to talk about gratitude and thinking in the certain way. We're going to give you a little deeper explanation of what that means. And Wallace Wattles in the book kind of takes a deep dive into that in the next chapter. So we'll cover both of those things tomorrow. Hope you're enjoying this. This is part 3. Part 4 is coming tomorrow. If you haven't joined our Facebook community, why not? It's a fantastic group, like-minded people banded together and helping each other awaken to the idea that there's so much more, that there's so much we don't know, and that everything that we want, that power is contained within us. We just have to activate it. We'd love to have you. Self-empowerment. It's taking control of your own life, letting go of what no longer serves you, changing that programming that you've had in your head since you were a small child, making positive choices, banishing your negative thought patterns. Join us. It's facebook.com/groups/students of self-empowerment. Lots of slashing. Also, our YouTube channel, we have over 300 videos, and we have about 350 subscribers. Isn't that sad? There's almost one video per subscriber. We need to get up to 1,000 so we can monetize. We do a lot of work for you each and every day in our community, giving you the tools you need to transform your life. If you want to help us out, that's a great way to do it. Tell your friends, subscribe yourself, let your family know you're giving a great gift. These are tools that they can use to change their life, to stop being filled with stress and anxiety and fear and loathing and self-hate. What better gift can you give than that? So join us at youtube.com/BrentWebb official, youtube.com/BrentWebb official. And finally, we're almost holiday season. I mean, it's very, very close. This year, remember, Dad has enough ugly ties. Mom has 7 bottles of perfume hidden all over the room, all over her bedroom. Your 28-year-old son who lives at home in the basement doesn't need a new copy of the newest copy of Modern Warfare. Why not give the gift of self-empowerment and the gift of personal development? Take a look at my website, brentwebb.com. Go to the shop, brentwebb.com/shop. You'll find all my books, courses, my one-on-one coaching program. Makes fantastic gift. One of my clients gave it to her daughter as a gift. If you or someone you know is looking to transform their life, if you're sick of where you are, if you're stuck, if you're in the quicksand of life and all the roadblocks ahead of you, let me help you break them down. Take a look, brentwebb.com/shop. Something for everyone. When you're giving jewelry, clothing, toiletries, that's great. But those kind of things, none of that ever lasts. None of that is worth what transformation is worth. Give the gift of lasting change. We all want to change, but this is a change that lasts. It's not just change, it's transformation. brentwebb.com/shop. I'll be back tomorrow with part 5. Part 5 already of the science of getting rich. We're getting deep into it. You can grab a copy of this book online. It's in the public domain now, which is amazing, but you can read it if you'd like. It's The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. It's a fantastic book. It is a basis of pure gold. It takes a little digging sometimes to find some of it in there because it's buried under the language. But this book's incredible. So we'll be back tomorrow with the next edition. I'll also be back in the morning with another episode of Brent Live. We're going to be covering some great stuff tomorrow. So enjoy your weekend. I hope you had a great week. I hope you have some great things planned, even if it's just sitting at home and doing nothing. That's okay too. Just remember, the moment we're born, we're programmed by our friends, parents, teachers, society, media, the government. It's time to break that programming. It's time to take control of our life. So don't worry. Be happy and feel good. I'll see you tomorrow.